Playing tag with the waves, a refreshing way to take a walk at the beach. How can you add to it? With a menthol cigarette.
The makers of Camel cigarettes bring the world's latest news events right into your own living room. Sit back, light up a Camel, and be an eyewitness to the happenings that made history in the last 24 hours. The Camel News Caravan presents today's news.
After World War II, cigarette companies began advertising heavily on TV. Camel Cigarettes sponsored the nation's first regular television news program, Camel News Caravan. It featured an ashtray on the desk in front of the newscaster, John Cameron Swayze, and the Camel logo behind him. The 15-minute news show ran from 1949 to 1956. In 1969, bills began to circulate on Capitol Hill banning all cigarette advertising on TV and radio. In that year, tobacco firms were the single largest product advertisers on television. Initially, the tobacco lobby, buoyed by legislators from tobacco-growing areas, succeeded in blocking congressional action. However, Big Tobacco came to recognize that an on-air ban would free funds for advertising in alternate media. It would also do away with the anti-smoking public service ads. Sensing that the tide of public opinion had turned against it, the tobacco lobby yielded. Under pressure from public health advocates, Nixon, an 8-bowl-a-day pipe smoker, reluctantly went along. The ban took effect at midnight on January 2, 1971. That gave cigarette companies a final chance to advertise on TV during the New Year's Day college bowl games. The last televised cigarette ad ran at 11:50 p.m. during The Tonight Show, starring Johnny Carson. After the imposition of the television ban, cigarette advertising continued to appear in magazines, newspapers, and on billboards. It also showed up in pinball machines. Game Plan was a pinball manufacturer that produced pinball tables from 1978 to 1985. A subsidiary of AES Technology Systems and located in Elk Grove Village, Illinois, Game Plan's president was former Chicago coin table designer Wendell McAdams.
It's Jim Shelberg, Pin Game Journal. We're at Amusement Expo 2013, and I have Roger Sharp and Gary Flower. And Roger, you have someone to introduce.
I have a wonderful guest for everybody to meet. Lee Goldboss. Lee, the president of Game Plan and the person who made Sharpshooter all possible and changed my history around as well as somewhat the history of the industry. So it's nice visiting with Lee. And Lee, tell us, what are your thoughts back then as to what we wound up doing?
You don't know my thoughts back then, but seriously, you said if we put you on the map, you put us on the map. The Sharpshooter, I still say, is the best game produced. The other stuff is fine, but and we were so far ahead technology-wise at the time.
Yeah, we were.
And that really made a big difference. And so then I got out of the business, and now I'm sniffing around, seeing if there's anything left of the business to get back into. I know there's quite a following. In fact, I've just learned what a great following there is about Game Plan and pinball.
Definitely.
And maybe there's something here. I believe there is.
All right, very cool. Thank you. Good to meet you.
Thank you.
You guys have a good show, everyone.
Our pleasure.
You too.
With 26 machines to their credit, only 23 were released, and 12 of those were cocktail table pinball machines. The company initially produced the cocktail-style pinball tables and produced 5 different models in their first year of existence, mostly based on cigarette brands: Real, Chuck-a-Luck, and Camel Lights. The company began producing full-size tables with 1979's Sharpshooter, a Wild West themed table. Sharpshooter, incidentally, was Game Plan's best-selling table, having produced 4,200 units in all. From 1980 to 1982, Game Plan also released a small number of video games, most of them licensed from other manufacturers, beginning with Tora Tora in 1980. Other games include Killer Comet, Intruder, Mega-Attack, Chaos, and Pot of Gold, which could be found in Chuck E. Cheese under the name Leprechaun. Former Game Plan designer John Trudeau went on to design many other pinball games at Gottlieb Premier and later Williams, including titles such as The Machine, Bride of Pinbot, and The Flintstones in 1994. Ed Sebula later worked as a table designer and mechanical engineer at Data East Pinball. An excerpt from the Silverball News and Views, November 1997, The Flipper Age of Dinosaurs, written by Tim Ferrante, Game Room Magazine. The short-lived manufacturer Game Plan created Lizard in 1980, and its titular beast looked more like a dinosaur than a lizard with its brontosaurus-like body and tail. Their 1985 Loch Ness Monster, illustrated by Seamus McLaughlin and designed by Sega Pinball's Joe Kamenkow, was easily their most ambitious effort. McLaughlin's rendering of the Scottish lake dweller is awesome. The massive creature swims out of the darkness, dwarfing the startled divers and their submersibles. It's a horrific underwater scene, reminiscent of the movie The Great Behemoth. Or Behemoth, if you're in Reservoir Dogs. Big Daddy Don Bodine and his monster truck, the Behemoth. Below the playfield resides a moving three-dimensional model of Nessie viewable through a blue window. The monster roars, and flashing lights illuminate the swimming creature as players try to escape Silverball Doom. It was unquestionably the finest game they ever built. It was also their last. The company folded as the game was being readied for production. While only one prototype is verified to exist, you probably have a better chance of seeing the real Nessie than the pinball machine built in her honor. The game looks great. It seems to be a wide body from the pictures that I can find. It looks like it would be fast and fun, with a great feature under the playfield of the monster swimming around and doing its thing when it's time to do its thing. Got some drop targets, got some hard shot targets, got a couple loops, maybe an orbit up there, some pop bumpers, some in lanes, some out lanes. Looks good, looks fun. There's really not much more to say about this thing. Game plan always seems to me to be like a redheaded stepchild of the pinball industry. Their games are kind of chintzy. They seem to be built pretty cheaply, but they were advanced technologically. They use low voltage LEDs for their scoreboards. They were the first pinball makers to do that, and most of their scoreboards on their games still work today, 30 some odd years later, 40 years later in some cases. Thank you all so much for checking out this episode of The Lost Pins. Be sure to come back next week to see another episode of this amazing series of games that you'll never really get to play. That's kind of sad, but it's kind of awesome too. Captain! Captain! Captain!